Ladies and gentlemen, Judge Michael.
Your Lordship.
What is it, Mr. Prosecutor?
With your permission, before Mr. Weng takes the floor, I wish to draw this honourable court's attention to some disturbing development involving the defendant and the fourth plaintiff, and which I believe concerns this court.
Is it related to the current matter before the court?
Yes, Your Lordship. It happened when the plaintiffs went to effect court summons on the defendant.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Lordship. On the 19th of June 2025, the plaintiffs filed their application against the Judicial Service Commission, demanding compensation for damages caused against them by its employees. Your Lordship, as you have rightly stated, Skytop Technologies Limited is the first plaintiff, while Skytop Technologies Limited is the second plaintiff, and Demoscad Limited is the third plaintiff. Mr. Paniel Mwara is the fourth plaintiff, and Judicial Service Commission is the defendant in the matter. Makafix Makopo Court Limited is an interested party for reasons that are well detailed in the plaint. I will give more details when the proceedings in the High Court commences. On the 20th of June 2025, the High Court acknowledged the application filed by the plaintiffs and proceeded to issue summons to the defendant. The summons, which were addressed to the defendant herein, were required to be served on the defendant through a licensed process server. Excerpts of the summons read as follows, and I quote, "To Judicial Service Commission, whereas the above-named plaintiff has instituted a suit against you upon the claim, the particulars of which are set out in the copy of the plaint with annexure attached hereto. You are hereby required within 15 days from the date of service hereof to enter an appearance in the said suit. Should you fail to enter an appearance within the time mentioned above, the plaintiff may proceed with the said suit, and judgment may be given in your absence. Given and issued under my hand, and the seal of the court, this 20th day of June 2025. End of quote. A copy of the summons is displayed on the screen before the court. Your Lordship, as per the High Court Civil Procedure Rules, the plaintiffs appointed a licensed process server for purposes of serving the defendant, and at around 3 p.m. on the 24th of June 2025, the plaintiffs served the defendant with court summons. Mr. Paniel, together with Mr. Newton and the said process server, then left the premises and upon settling down in their offices, realized that the said Sylvia had retained the original copy of the plaint, which contained inserts that had confidential material which the plaintiffs intended to rely on to prosecute their case. Mr. Paniel immediately sent the process server to return to the defendant its copy of the plaint and to pick the original copy. He asked Mr. Newton Mwangi to accompany him for the purpose. Upon getting to the premises, they met the said Sylvia at the main reception and were quick to note the original copy of the plaint still lying on the same desk it had been placed on the day of service. Ms. Sylvia was hostile and rude. Your Lordship, after taking the complainants through unnecessary and frustrating demands, which included asking them to put their request in writing, and which the plaintiffs promptly did, Ms. Sylvia blatantly refused to hand over the plaintiff's copy back to them. An otherwise straightforward issue was made a mountain of by the defendant purely for malicious, selfish, and ulterior motives. Worse, they also retained their copy, leaving the plaintiffs without any copy. As can be seen from the screen, the plaintiffs have since reproduced another copy and will be claiming compensation and damages from the defendant for the inconvenience and humiliation they were subjected to by the defendant. It is clear the plaintiffs have been profiled by the defendant, if we go by the overwhelming evidence that is in our possession. With your Lordship's permission, I will now proceed to read out Mr. Paniel Mwara's sworn affidavit, giving details about what transpired when he accompanied the process server to serve the defendant with the court summons. Your Lordship, Mr. Paniel Mwara swore the following affidavit, and I quote, I, Paniel Mwara of P.O. Box 13587, Code 100 Nairobi, do state as follows. 1. That I am an adult male of sound mind, hence competent to swear this affidavit. 2. That I am the fourth plaintiff and also the chief executive officer of the first plaintiff, the second plaintiff, and the third plaintiff, as well as a director of the interested party.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Prosecutor.
Yes, your lordship.
Can you display on the screen before us a snapshot the affidavit which you are reading, given that this court is a public opinion court and, as a pioneer court of its kind, we have a duty to set the standards?
Your lordship, much obliged. A snapshot of Mr. Paniel Mwaura's affidavit is now displayed on the screen before the court, and a snapshot of the Judiciary CTS shows Mr. Paniel Mwaura filed the affidavit on 27th of June 2025, and the same is yet to be actioned.
Mr. Prosector, that is over a month since...
Yes, your lordship. According to Mr. Paniel, not even an email from them acknowledging receipt of the filing. I want to believe they are awaiting an interlocutory application by Mr. Paniel so they can action the matter. Or for Mr. Paniel to raise the matter orally when it comes up for mention on 18th of September 2025 before Justice Sifuna. For now, it is a floating filing. We therefore have no basis to blame them for the delay.
Very well noted, Mr. Prosecutor. Please proceed then.
Your lordship, I was on point 3 of Mr. Paniel Mwaura's affidavit. Do I proceed from there or should I start afresh?
Please continue from where you stopped, that is, from issue number 3 of his affidavit.
Much obliged. Paragraph 3 states thus, and I quote, that I do recall that on the 24th day of June 2025, I, in the company of one Mr. Newton Mwangi, accompanied one Peter Geno, who is a process server to the offices of the Judicial Service Commission, herein the defendant located at 13th floor of CBK Pension Towers, to effect service on summons to enter appearance, and a copy of the plaint. 4. That at around 14:33 hours, we were ushered in by a security officer at the main entrance to the building, wherein we registered our presence on the visitor's book, and we were ushered into the 13th floor by the security officer. 5. That at around 14:40 hours, we again registered our presence on the visitor's book on the 13th floor, which was being manned by a lady security officer who introduced herself as Ms. Jennifer. She then directed us to an officer by the name Ms. Sylvia, who was at the main reception. 6. That after introducing ourselves and explaining the purpose of our visit to the premises, the officer then confirmed that indeed she is authorized to accept court service on behalf of the defendant, and the process server promptly handed over the 3 voluminous documents to her, and upon perusing the documents she turned to us and asked us, "So you have decided to take us to court, eh?" And her mood changed to one of hostility. 7. That going by the hostility that she displayed and that we were in the defendant's territory, the process server handed over his cell phone and asked me to take evidence of the stamping which I captured in the form of photos. 8. That the said Sylvia stopped stamping the documents and started harassing the process server, who had by then taken back his cell phone from Mr. Newton Mwangi, and demanded that he hands over the phone to her to delete the photos. She was talking to us in a condescending tone, but we told her that we were only immortalizing the moment for future reference, given that they also had CCTV cameras which were recording us, a fact that she confirmed. 9. That I pleaded with her to stamp the original copy that was by then on her desk, but she refused to do so and continued creating unnecessary drama and demanding that the phone be given to her. Your lordship, a copy of the photo that the plaintiffs took is displayed on the screen before the court. Note the voluminous plaint and court summons that the said Sylvia is signing on as proof of receipt, while the said process server stands by to witness. Paragraph 10 of Mr. Mwaura's sworn affidavit states, and I quote, that it is at this time that we realized that she was creating a scene to set us up, and we decided to just leave. As we left, the process server picked 2 of the documents that she had stamped. Due to the hostile environment, it didn't occur to me that he did pick our original copy. Paragraph 11. that as we were waiting for the lifts to pick us, the said Sylvia summoned us and told us to follow her into the inner offices. We followed her as she made calls asking some people to rush to her office. Paragraph 12. That when we got into the inner room, she kept us waiting there as she tried to incite security people against us, but all in vain. They just ignored her as we had not done anything wrong. Paragraph 13. That during all this time we remained standing and calm in the inner corridors as we watched her create a scene to provoke us. It is at this time that we demanded to know whether we were being detained, upon which she said no, and then left us there and went into her office. That after waiting for some time and noticing nobody came, we went to her office and we told her that we had other engagements to attend to, thus we had to leave, if indeed we were not detained, upon which she arrogantly told us, "Mnaweza kwenda." 15. That we were aware there were other visitors who were present when all this was happening, which was very humiliating to us as we were being treated like criminals. That we left the premises for other engagements, and after the said engagements that we noted that she had not handed the process server the original copy, and we immediately contacted the process server, who also expressed shock that the original copy was left with Sylvia. He expressed fear of going back there, going by the hostility we had been subjected to, but I assured him that he will be accompanied by Mr. Newton Mwangi. It was already past 5 p.m. local time, and it was not possible to go back there because the offices had closed. 17. That we resolved to go for the documents the following day, 25th of June 2025, but because of the expected chaos in the city, we realized it was risky, and hence we decided to go for it on 26th of June 2025. 18. That on 26th of June 2025, I sent Mr. Newton Mwangi to accompany the said process server, Mr. Kangyeno, to the offices of the defendant located on 13th floor of CBK Pension Towers, to collect our original of copy of the plaint and the court summons that had been left with the defendant on the 24th day of June 2025, and to hand over to the defendant its copy. 19. That after a few minutes, I received a call from Mr. Newton Mwangi informing me that the defendant had demanded that I write a letter to them asking to be given back the original plaint. I immediately complied and sent the letter electronically. Your Lordship, a copy of the letter that Mr. Paniel Mwara was made to write by the said Sylvia, which was duly received by the defendant, is displayed on the screen before the court. Please note the date it was sent by Mr. Paniel Mwara, and the date and time it was received by the defendant. 20. That again. Newton contacted me to inform me that Sylvia had come up with other demands, and I told him to hand over the phone to her and to put it on speaker mode. Upon doing so, I explained to the said Sylvia the urgency and the importance of handing over the original plaint to us, which she agreed to, or so I thought, only for the said Newton to call me again to inform me she had changed her mind. 21. That it is at this juncture that I instructed Newton and the process server to wait for the registrar if there was no other senior officer who could handle the matter. However, they informed me that Sylvia had told them that there was no other officer to attend to them and that they should leave and check with her the following day. It is then that it occurred to me that she was only interested in retaining our original plaint for her own selfish interest. I advised them to remain calm to avoid being set up. 22. That later, Newton contacted me again informing me that they were being harassed by Sylvia and a DCI officer, and I told them to just leave without the copy. I also told them to hand over their copy of the plaint to them. 3. That after a few minutes, I called Newton to find out the situation, and he confirmed they had left the premises, and that they had left the 2 copies with Sylvia, 4. That what is deponed herein above is true to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief. Sworn at Nairobi by the said Paniel Mwara, this 27th day of June 2025.
Quite disturbing, Mr. Prosecutor. I can see you are now ready to read out Mr. Newton Mwangi's affidavit. Before you proceed, we need to calm and soothe our minds even as we take a 5-minute break.
I agree. It's a well-deserved break.
Zara, dole out some entertainment to relax our minds, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you That Happy Feeling by Bert Kempfert.
Thank you, Zara, for a beautiful selection. For those who may be interested, Bert Kempfert was a German orchestra leader, producer, and songwriter known for composing several popular songs. Mr. Prosecutor, you may now proceed to read out Mr. Newton Mwangi's affidavit.
Your Lordship, Mr. Mwara's affidavit was corroborated by Mr. Newton Mwangi through a sworn affidavit which I display on the screen before the court. His affidavit reads thus, and I quote, I, Newton Kibunja, Mwangi of P.O. Box number 13587, Code 100 Nairobi, do hereby make oath and state as follows. 1. That I am an adult male of sound mind, hence competent to swear this affidavit. 2. That on the 24th day of June 2025, I, in the company of one Mr. Paniel Mwara, we accompanied the one Peter Nyeno, a process server to the offices of the Judicial Service Commission, here in the defendant located at 13th floor of CBK Pension Towers, to effect service on summons to enter appearance and a copy of the plaint. 3. That at around 14:33 hours, we were ushered in by a security officer at the main entrance to the building, wherein we registered our presence on the visitor's book, and we were ushered into the 13th floor by the security officer. 4. That at around 14:40 hours, we again registered our presence on the visitor's book on the 13th floor, being manned by a lady security officer, who introduced herself as Ms. Jennifer. She then directed us to an officer by the name Ms. Sylvia, who was at the main reception. 5. That after introducing ourselves and explaining the purpose of our visit to the premises, the officer then confirmed that indeed she is authorized to accept service on behalf of the defendant, upon which the process server handed over the voluminous documents to her. Upon perusing the documents, she turned to us and asked us, "So you have decided to take us to court?" And her mood changed to one of hostility. 6. That going by the hostility that she displayed, and given that we were in the defendant's territory, we decided to take evidence of the stamping which we captured in the form of photos. 7. That it is at this juncture that Sylvia stopped stamping and demanded that we hand over the phone to her to delete the photos, but we told her that we were only recording the moment for future reference, going by the fact that the office has CCTV cameras and we were also being recorded by them. That Mr. Paniel Mwara then tried to reason with her to stamp the original copy which she had placed on her desk, but she refused and continued creating drama and demanding that the phone be given to her. That it is at this time that we realized that she was just being difficult and just wanted to set us up. Upon consultation amongst ourselves, we decided to just leave. 10. That as we were waiting for the lifts to leave, the said Sylvia summoned us and told us to follow her into the inner offices, as she made calls asking someone to come over to take the phone from her. When we got into the inner room, she kept us waiting there as she called security people who did not come. She also went to the inner offices to call other people who also did not come. It was clear to us that she was doing this to incite her colleagues to come out and humiliate us. Chapter 11. That during all this time we remained standing in the inner corridors as we watched her create a scene to provoke us. It is at this time that we demanded to know whether we were being detained, upon which she said no, and then left us there and went into her office. Chapter 2. That after waiting for some time and nobody came, we went to her office and we told her that we had other engagements, thus we had to leave, if indeed we were not detained, upon which she arrogantly told us, "Mnaweza enda." Please note that there were other visitors who were present when all this was happening, which was very humiliating to us for being treated to look like criminals. 13. That we left the premises for other engagements, and it's only after the said engagements that we realized that she had not handed the process server the original copy, upon which we immediately contacted the process server, who also expressed shock that the original copy was left with Sylvia. He, however, expressed fear of going back there, going by the hostility we had been subjected to, but Mr. Paniel assured him that he will be accompanied by me. That we resolved to go for the documents the following day, that is, 25th of June 2025, but because of the chaos in the city, we decided to go for it on 26th of June 2025. 15. That on 26th of June 2025, I again accompanied the said court process server, Peter Angieno, to the offices of the Judicial Service Commission, herein the defendant located on the 13th floor of CBK Pension Towers, to collect the fourth plaintiff's copy of the plaint. We also carried the defendant's copy, which we had carried by mistake. Jason 16. That at around 12:24 hours, we were ushered in by a security officer at the main entrance to the building, wherein we registered our presence on the visitor's book, and we were ushered in to the 13th floor by the security officer. 17. That at around 12:30 hours, we again registered our presence on the visitor's book on the 13th floor, that was being manned by a lady security officer who introduced herself as Ms. Jennifer. She then directed us to Ms. Sylvia, who was at the main reception. She is the same officer who had served us on 24th of June when we went to effect service. 18. That upon being ushered into Sylvia's office, which is also the reception, we noticed that our original copy was still lying on the desk where we had left it 2 days earlier. 19. That after explaining the purpose of our visit, The said Sylvia told us that we put it in writing, upon which I contacted the fourth plaintiff, Mr. Paniel Mwara, who promptly wrote the letter and sent it to me by email, upon which I immediately handed it over to the said Sylvia. Paragraph 20 of Newton's affidavit, and I quote, that upon receiving it, she stamped our copy, but immediately introduced other demands, including insisting that she had to hand it over to the registrar, who was to authorize the process. She also told us that the said registrar had stepped out to attend a meeting, and she was not sure when the officer would be coming back. Chapter 21. That again I contacted the fourth plaintiff to brief him of the new development, and he told me to hand over the phone to Sylvia and put it on speakerphone. Mr. Paniel Mwara explained to her the urgency of the importance of handing over the document to us, which she agreed to, only to change her mind upon Mr. Paniel Mwara going off call. Paragraph 22. That the fourth plaintiff advised us to wait for the registrar until the officer was back, if there was no other senior officer around to handle our matter, but Sylvia insisted we should leave and check the following day. It's then that it occurred to us that she was only interested in keeping that document for her own selfish interest. 23. That I again contacted the fourth plaintiff to inform him about the harassment that was being visited upon us, and that she had even called a DCI officer to intimidate us. It is then that Mr. Paniel Mwara told us to leave without the copy to avoid being set up. He said he will follow up the matter in court when it comes up for mention. Paragraph 24. That following this advice by Mr. Paniel Mwara, we left the 2 copies there with Sylvia and informed her that we were going to file a complaint in court citing the harassment against us, and for having denied the plaintiff its copy of plaint, which contained very confidential materials and which it was to use to prosecute this case. Paragraph 25. That the said Sylvia dismissively told us to do whatever we pleased and that she was through with us. We left her with the 2 copies, the original copy that they had detained and their copy, and exited the premises. Paragraph 26. That what is deponed to herein above is true to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief. Sworn at Nairobi by the said Newton Kibunja Mwangi, this 26th day of June 2025. That is all, your lordship. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Prosecutor. Was the affidavit by Mwangi filed?
Yes, your lordship. As you can see on the screen, it was filed on behalf of Mr. Newton Mwangi by the first plaintiff on 27th of June, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Prosecutor. This court takes a break until 11 a.m.
All rise.